when you see products is just imitate them before you innovate. When you're brand new, you got to get the basics down. You got to learn the fundamentals, and then you can start to get original and do your own things. When you still haven't found your winner, don't give up. The phrase is 90% of a winning product. Something you need to remember is that the quality of your phrases is going to equal the quality of your phrase research. This is just freaking use Canva. Just use Canva. It's easy. It's basically free. The paid version is like $10 a month. Just please use Canva, especially if you're new. Buckle up and enjoy. So there's 60 days left until Christmas. 60 days, 68 days left until Christmas. 68 days. That is not very much time. 68 days. I hope all of you are feeling some urgency around that right now. 68 days is all you have left. That's about 9 weeks. 9 or 10 weeks, if you think about it. 68 days. Now, some of you are going to take weekends, right? So that's 18 days. You're shaving off of that. So you really have about 50 working days. And don't forget, shipping cutoff comes about 7 days before Christmas. So you're down to like 43 days, really working days before Christmas. Now, I don't advise you take weekends off. I advise you barely sleep during Q4. Honestly, I think everybody should sleep less in the run up to Q4. It comes around one time a year. It's the Super Bowl for e-commerce and print on demand. The amount of money that's about to fall out of the market into this space is unreal. It is unbelievable. We're going to talk about that. But I do want to impress upon you, now is the time for action. Now, right? You don't have very much time. You seriously don't. Work through the weekends. Stay up late. Sacrifice some sleep. You can sleep in Q1, people. You can sleep in Q1. Now is the time for the action takers. The holiday pie, which I'm about to reveal to you, belongs to the action takers. It's big enough for everybody, but it only belongs to the action takers. Hopefully that's making sense. Q4 is officially here. Here's just kind of a quick picture of the demand to expect right now. So if you search Google Trends for personalized gifts, here's a little blip for Valentine's Day. Here's a little blip for Mother's Day. Here's a little blip for Father's Day, right? But this is Christmas. Not only is the demand stretched out, not only does the demand last for longer, it peaks hardcore at Christmas. The demand in Christmas is 4 times what it is any other buying holiday throughout the year. And I've got to tell you, Valentine's Day is huge. Mother's Day is huge, right? But Christmas is at least 4 or 5 times bigger than those holidays. And that's just demand. That's just demand. Expected retail spending in 2024 is $959 billion. Billion with a B. It's almost $1 trillion. Almost $1 trillion is literally about to fall like out of the sky into the retail gifting Christmas buying bonanza that is upon us, right? Another way of saying that, and I can't even do this, is $940 million. Yeah, I whenever I like take these big numbers and I start like really looking at them and twisting them around and trying to find different ways to kind of like grasp how big they are, because really when you say $959 billion, it's impossible. It's too hard to fathom how big that number is. Like we are so out of touch with how much like money that actually is. And by the way, demand, right? I say money, I mean demand. Like we're out of touch with how much demand that is actually going to be in the marketplace. So I always try to kind of twist things around and look at them, analyze them from different perspectives to open my mind to the potential and to the opportunity. With $940 million, we could buy every private jet in the world. We could buy every private jet in the world. So that's Al Gore's jet. That's this crazy evangelist guy's jet. That's Nancy Pelosi's jet and Elon Musk's jet and Taylor Swift's multiple jets. I'm almost certain she has more than one. We could buy them all. We could buy literally every single one of these, and we'd still have, see, now ShineOn owns all the jets. We would still have $629 billion left over. We'd still have $629 billion left over, right? Another way to think about it, you could literally buy, here's an island I found for sale online. It's $160 million. We could buy almost 6,000 of these with that amount of money. That's insane. That is like, I just want you to get your head around how much demand is going to hit the retail space. This gift-giving Christmas run-up, it's insane. It is just, you cannot fathom it. And you've got to remember, it's like Christmas is a compulsory gift-giving holiday. If you don't give a gift during Christmas, you're a bad person. Like, people look at you and they're like, they don't think highly of you, right? Everybody buys gifts for everybody in Christmas. So everyone is going to buy a gift for a living mom, living dad, living grandparents, brothers, sisters, friends, coworkers, children, grandchildren, even pets. I mean, it's just everyone's buying for everybody. So it's just, the demand is insane. And this is why I think you're nuts if you sit out Q4. It is the Super Bowl for e-commerce and print-on-demand merchants. Now, are you getting motivated? Are you excited by that? Do you feel enthusiastic and encouraged by how much demand is actually out there to be grasped, right? It's not that much to think, like, even if you're brand new, you can get some table scraps, and those table scraps can equal a lot. They can do big things for you. Just by accident, not even being very good, you can stumble your way into sales during Q4. It is like stealing candy from a baby. Are you encouraged by this? Let me know in the chat right now if you find this encouraging. In the chat right now, let me know if you find this encouraging. Let me know in the chat now if you find this encouraging. I wonder if we got kind of a delay here. I'm seeing some different stuff in the chat. Does nobody find this encouraging? You got to be kidding me. The last thing I see in the chat is from Elizabeth. It says, my next ad is going to say, if you don't buy gifts for others, you're a bad person. Heck yeah. I'm wondering if my chat is frozen. It is very unlike you. You folks talk almost as much as me. I mean, you know, collectively. Yeah, I think my chat broke. All right, well, I'm going to keep going here. I'm sure you're encouraged. All right, we're going to look at Christmas order volumes. Actually, maybe I need to make sure the stream is still up. Let's see here. I'm going to keep going anyway, unless Brooke or somebody tells me the stream broke. Okay, Christmas order volume, right? So, and this is ShineOn volume. This is not like this is based on ShineOn data, right? So this is looking at previous years and our sales volume day over day as we lead into Christmas. And what I want you to see here is these green bars represent sales. And you can see we're kind of at a baseline coming into this holiday season. And right around the beginning of October, I mean, to be honest with you, we start to see demand like kind of in September. You just can't really see it because the chart doesn't go out far enough. And then, you know, the momentum slowly increases week over week as we get closer and closer to Christmas. But what I want to point out is you are here. You are here. This is the middle of October. This is October 18th or 17th right here. This is where we are at currently. And this is where the sales peak, right? So you've got each of these green bars represents a day, right? So you've got, what is this, 50, 60 days before the sales peak. And when they peak, they kind of hold steady for like a week, right? This here is just represents a colossal amount of demand. Now you'll notice this kind of cliff that comes right around here. This is shipping cutoff, right? So it's usually 6-7 days before Christmas. We have our shipping cutoffs. We'll announce those in the group, in PodU, via email, all that stuff. Once we figure out what our cutoffs are going to be this year, they're different every year. At ShineOn, we're constantly working to improve our processes and push closer and closer to Christmas. But we also have to depend upon the couriers, right? And the couriers, have different challenges every year, and we have to kind of partner with them. We have to navigate that stuff together. Okay, so this is the demand. So you still have time. If you're brand new, you have plenty of time to be testing right now before the demand really, really starts to pick up. Now, I do want to share with you, though, that even if we get way out here and you still haven't found your winner, don't give up. Last week, we heard from Andrew Vo, and Andrew said he didn't find his winner until like December 7th, a couple years ago, and he still took it to six figures. I can attest to the same thing. One year, I didn't find my winner until like December 5th, and I scaled it to a really good, healthy six figures in like 2 weeks, right? So that happens frequently. So don't give up. You really shouldn't stop or even hit the brakes until way out here. I mean, even if you found a winner here, you could still probably net like 4 or 5 figures before cutoff if you scaled very aggressively. So don't give up until you hit your winner. All right? Don't give up until you hit your winner. Okay. Now we're going to get into the Q4 action plan. Hopefully everybody kind of understands the demand. Hopefully you're excited about the opportunity that is Q4. Now we're going to get into your action plan. So again, if you're new, get out pen, get out paper. You're going to want to take some notes on this next part. So let's talk real quick, high level, about your mindset, right? And some of this is baked into the plan. So some of this is going to be a little repeat, but let's talk about your mindset real quick. You're going to pick one platform. You're going to pick one niche. You're going to spend 80% of your time on product research, phrase bank building, and phrase creation, right? I'm going to talk about what that stuff is here in a minute, but I'm locking you in. I am locking you in. If you want on the ShineOn bus here and you want to go where we're going, this is what you need to do. One platform, one niche, spend 80% of your time product research, phrase bank building, and phrase creation. And if you set any goals, don't set revenue goals. Revenue goals are depressing, okay? It's one thing if you're kind of an expert and you can scale and all that stuff. When you're brand new, revenue goals are depressing. Revenue should motivate you, right? Like I think you should have an aspirational goal around revenue for sure. Like you need a vision, you need to visualize success and have an idea how much money you want to make and all that. I'm not discouraging that, but when it comes to goals and like measuring yourself day over day, you want output focused goals. So set goals around the number of new products you want to upload, set goals around the amount of new ads you want to run, things like that. If you're on Etsy, it's the number of Etsy listings you publish. That's the real output focused daily goals you want to make sure you're taking action against. And then the result of those actions, right, will be revenue, if that makes sense. Another way to think about this is think of when you're trying to lose weight, right? It's like, it is okay to set a weight goal. It's okay to say like, I want to lose 20 pounds. I'm not discouraging that. I'm just saying that's aspirational. It's an aspirational goal. If you really want to do the work required to lose 20 pounds, you also have to have goals around X number of minutes in the gym, Y number of calories consumed per day. Maybe you have X amount of grams of protein consumed, or whatever the heck it is. There's a difference between what we call lead measures, which are like the levers that you can pull to actually influence your goal, and lag measures, which are the result of actions you take, right? If that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Lead and lag measures, output focused goals, aspirational goals. You need to be thinking about that. So let's get into the action plan now. Pick one platform. Look, you have Facebook, TikTok, and Etsy. I just pick one of these. I wouldn't mess with Amazon if you're brand new. It can be pretty complicated. Facebook, TikTok, and Etsy. pick one, right? I'd probably encourage you to go to with Facebook or Etsy, because TikTok, a lot of the ad creatives require video, and that can be a little bit challenging. I'll be honest, I mean, some Facebook requires video too, but I tend to find that Facebook is still a little easier for newbies. So Facebook or Etsy really is where I'd be pushing newbies. If Facebook, you need to know you got to pay for ads. However, it's king of scale, right? Nothing scales like Facebook does when you find a winner. Etsy has no ads, but you can't control the scale as much. It's kind of a low scale type of place. I've never really seen somebody on Etsy launch one product and run it up to 7 figures in 3 weeks in the same way that you see people do with Facebook. But I've seen many 7-figure shops, right? Etsy tends to be a little more consistent than Facebook. The barrier to entry on Etsy is probably a little lower because you don't have to pay for ads or anything like that. Unfortunately, though, with Etsy, they're real Scrooges over there at Etsy. They nuked our ShineOn integration with them from Orbit. So you have to have a Shopify store. You need to use said commerce. Another thing you can do is use Anywhere POD. Chris Meets, who's a great partner to ShineOn, actually created a new subscription tier over at Anywhere POD. I think it's like $10 a month, and you can now publish ShineOn products directly into Etsy platform, which is pretty cool. One more thing to know is the Etsy product catalog is a little limited. Etsy, for whatever reason, doesn't like ShineOn's message card products, even though they allow everybody else's message card products. I don't really know what that is. They must just not like us maybe they don't like dreadlocks. Who knows? But just know that on Etsy, we do have a pared down catalog that we think is appropriate for Etsy. So pick one platform, Facebook or Etsy. Helen here asked in the comments, she says Instagram. Facebook and Instagram, I kind of bundle those together since the ads manager works for both. All right, commit to one platform and then stick with it until you've hit like $10,000 in revenue. Seriously, you just got to pick one platform. You need to become a master at that platform, become an expert, stick with it. Do not give up. Do not lose focus until you've hit at least $10,000 in revenue. This is the only way you're going to move forward. I see so many print-on-demand people come through. They're all over the place, shiny object syndrome galore, and they just never make any progress, right? Pick one platform, dedicate yourself to that till you're an expert, until you produced at least $10,000 in revenue before you start flirting with anything else. Most importantly, do not give up, okay? Step number 2. Remember I said one by one plan? Here's your second one by one. That makes sense. Pick a niche. So you're going to pick one platform, you're going to stick to it. You're going to pick one niche, and you're going to stick to it. Now for Q4, here's typically the way the sales are distributed across niches in Q4. To my wife is roughly 50% of sales, daughter is 30%, and then everything else is 20%. Now, when you look at this, you may say, oh, well, hell, I'm not going after son. I'm not going after husband. I'm not going after any, friendship during Q4. I'm going to stick to these. Well, I want to tell you that the sales volume in Q4 is it's so large and the demand is so big that even these little niches like the sun niche or something like that only represents, 2, 3, 4, 5% of our total sales in Q4 still ends up being 6 and 7 figures. I mean, it's a lot of sales still. It's a lot of sales still, right? So I don't want to discourage you with these numbers, but if you're new, I am trying to show you like the easy path. Again, it takes skill, takes time, takes effort, and no success is guaranteed, all that kind of stuff. It takes a little bit of luck. But if you want to stack the odds in your favor, to my wife, to my daughter, these are excellent niches to be in right now during Q4. If you still are in doubt, I always recommend people pick a niche you can relate to. I had my first wins in the wife niche, and I feel like part of that is because I was married and I kind of got the niche, right? So pick a niche you can relate to if you're on the fence and struggling to know which way to go. There are some sub niches inside of these parent niches that you can go after. So underneath to my wife, for example, you have to my soulmate, to my fiance, to my future wife. Underneath daughter, you have bonus daughter on biological daughter, etc. And there's a handful more than just what I've presented here. But you can kind of branch out within those. But one platform, one niche, please. The third one by one, and I don't really have a slide for it, is just, I recommend people pick one product category. and try to pick a category where you've already seen people have success on your platform and on your niche. So some examples of categories I'd probably recommend for newbies, definitely jewelry. Jewelry it's kind of perennial. It sells all year long. Lots of people have had success with the jewelry. Acrylic is another great one. Mugs can be a good one, even though the margins on it are pretty freaking low. Blankets can be a fantastic one. You do some research, right? And try to see, which product categories are having success on your platform and your niche of choice, and then stick to the category, right? This is the one by one plan. It requires focus. One platform, one niche, one category. Stay there, park yourself there, become an expert until you've hit at least $10,000 in sales. If you're brand new, just starting out, I'm telling you right now, this is what you need to do. Put your blinders on, stay focused until you hit a win. Now, the reason I'm trying to show you the best-selling niches, the reason I'm trying to give you some recommendations on product categories and stuff, is if you screw this part up, you are basically damning yourself to failure, right? Let's say, for example, you picked the To My Son niche, and you picked Etsy is the platform. The platform here, like if you stick to the three I gave you, you can't really go wrong. Let me redo this. Let's say you pick the To My Son niche, you choose Amazon as the platform or eBay or something like that. And then for the product category, you chose necklaces. No, that's not a good one because we have the cross. You have bracelets. Let's just say for the product category, you chose journals, right? Think of that now. You've picked the Sun niche, you picked eBay or Amazon, and you picked journals, right? So like you're going after a subset of a subset of a subset of a subset of a market, and it's probably about that big, right? And if you're brand new, you're listening to me right now, you may find yourself in 6 months going, well, Michael told me to stay here until I hit $10,000 in revenue, and it's just not coming. Well, it's like, yeah, you didn't listen to the other stuff I said. You got to stack the odds in your favor, right? Hopefully this is making sense. So let's pick, a platform people already having success on. Let's pick a niche where we're already seeing some success, and let's pick product categories that align with those two things, right? Go out and do your research. Make sure people are getting sales in this space. Don't view that as competition. View that as market validation, right? And that is a green light for you to park here until you've hit $10,000 in revenue. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that made sense to everybody. I kind of meandered a little bit. Hopefully that made sense. Okay. Step number 3 is phrases. Okay, so if you're new, you're going to want to write this down. The phrase is 90% of a winning product. Write it down. The phrase is how much? 90% of a winning product, right? So that means the phrase is really important. Here, pop quiz. Should you spend more time finding the right little flower decals to put in your message card design, or should you spend more time trying to find a really good phrase for your message card? What do you think the answers are? What do you think the answers are? Let me know in the chat, or just say it out loud to your computer. I can hear you. Yeah, exactly. Makes way more sense to spend time on the phrase, since the phrase is 90% of the winning product, right? Absolutely. Okay, so look, we have some sayings around here at ShineOn to help us remember how important the phrase actually is in this print-on-demand space. So we say, if they cry, they'll buy, baby. If they cry, they'll buy. And this alludes to how you need your phrase to move people emotionally, right? You got to find a really good phrase that moves people emotionally, right? And one of the heuristics we have here at ShineOn, one of the things we say is, if they cry, they'll buy. That reminds us of how important that phrase is to the product, right? If they cry, they'll buy. We also say, it's the phrase that pays. It's the phrase that pays. Right? Again, reminding us of how important the phrase is. Another thing we say is, if they feel it's real. If they feel it's real. That tells us that we need that phrase to move people emotionally, right? If we can create an emotional experience with the phrase, they're more likely to buy, right? Again, if you're new, you need to write that down. Move this, right? Move this, move somebody emotionally. like reach out and smack them in the feels, right? Get them to cry, get them to laugh, get them to ache because they miss a loved one. Any emotion is fair game, honestly. If you can get them to feel something, you're much more likely to get them to buy your product. So move this to make this. Move this to make this. I'm telling you right now, this is like the biggest takeaway. Like if you're brand new, like this is the biggest takeaway of this entire training, of probably anything you're going to get out of ShineOn or any training from me. It's going to be this. This is the most important thing, right? Move this to make this. So if you're new, write it down. I'm telling you. Any emotion's fair game. You can make them feel sad and miss a lost loved one. You can make them cry happy tears because of how beautiful their daughter is, and you're reminding them of that. You can make them laugh. We've seen some shocking phrases come through on jewelry, and it's worked like really well to the tune of like high 6 and low 7 figures, where I can't even repeat the phrases here because you guys might have children in the room. Things that are sexually explicit, that are shocking, you know, things that would make me feel embarrassed in front of my mom, you know, like phrases like that that make people laugh because they're so unexpected. Those work good. Anger, you see anger work really well in like mugs, t-shirts, things like that. You all know we're about to head into November. We've got some political stuff going on. There's a presidential election happening. There's a couple chaps running for president. Chaps? Is chap can I call Kamala a chap? I don't think I can. Chap and chapis. I don't know. A Mr. and a Miss. Anyway, we have 2 people running for president. So we have Kamala, we have Trump. And look, you're either a Kamala person, a Democrat, a liberal, or you are a Trump conservative Republican, right? Like there is like there are some independents out there. They're all quiet and kind of in the background. But it's like people are dug into their tribes. And if you want to make somebody angry, take some political quotes, political phrases, and slap them onto t-shirts and mugs. And I'm telling you right now, it'll work. It'll work. Those are working really well. Every week I do the Trend Mastery Lab, and I get out my spy tools, and I'm looking for trending and top selling products. And then I get those remade into Canva templates. I'm telling you, like every week for the last 6, 7, 8 weeks, the top products are political in nature. They're all political, all of them, right? So these two sides, these two tribes, they don't like each other very much. And so you get the point. That's how you do anger. Works really well on mugs and t-shirts. Okay. And then you have love. Love works really well for like romance, and like the wife niche and things like that. So that's the one where you're like, you know, you're saying to my beautiful wife, I wasn't your first date or first kiss or first love, but I just want to be your last everything, or whatever the heck it is. That moves people emotionally, like that's what works in the love spot. So make them feel anything. Any feeling is fair game. If you get them to feel something, they're more likely to buy your stuff. All right. Hopefully everybody is with me. Okay. Is this helpful so far? Let's break for a second. Is this helpful? Let me know in the chat right now if you're getting a lot of value out of this, if this is helpful to you. Again, we're covering some fundamentals. Many of you, I'm sure, have heard this before. It just does not hurt to hear the fundamentals again. You have to get good at this. I mean, this is really the jet fuel for the rest of success in the print-on-demand space. It is. Let me know in the chat right now if you're getting value out of this. So Natasha says yes. Bethany, yes. Joy says yes. M&M Creations for You Corp says yes. Let's see. We have Jesse. Jay Snyder says great info. Katie gives me a thumbs up. Sophie, thumbs up. Allison and Tyson says very helpful. Okay. Appreciate it. Linda says helpful, but I'm going too fast. You will be able to watch a recording of this. You can take it from normal speed down to about 0.75 if you like. I'm kind of a fast talker. I got some coffee in me. I also get passionate about this, so I totally feel you on that. I'll do my best to regulate, but I'm telling you, I've not had a lot of success doing that over the years. All right, let's talk about how to write winning phrases. how to write winning phrases. So the goal of all your phrase research is to build a phrase bank. The goal of your product research is to build a phrase bank. Here's what a phrase bank could look like. This is using a tool called Trello. I like Trello because you can build lists, and then inside of each list, you can add like tasks or little cards, right? And then you can take those cards and drag them around and rearrange them, move them, whatever. But you don't have to use Trello. You can use a Google Sheet. You can use a Google Sheet. But the point is, when you're doing all your product research and you're looking for these top selling phrases, you need some place where you can stick those phrases for future reference. And we call that a phrase bank. By the way, we are going to try to build a phrase bank into PodView soon, right? So we're just attached to your account. You're going to be able to go and you're going to have a phrase bank right there inside of PodView where you're going to be able to collect all of your research. And then, the real hope, this would be way down the road. We're hoping you can take that research, like the stuff in your phrase bank, and just with a few clicks, push it through the rest of the AI tools. But we're not there yet. But that's a future kind of vision. So where can you do some phrase research? Where can you find all these top selling phrases? There's a ton of places. Really, sky's the limit here. Pinterest is a great one. Google Shopping is a great one. Hallmark's a great one. Don't copy anything word for word, especially from places like Hallmark, because all that stuff's going to be copywritten and trademarked. Amazon's a great place. Google Trends, believe it or not, you can get in there and you can see kind of what's trending, and then you can find phrases related to that. Etsy is a great place to go do phrase research. You can just go to Etsy and type like "to my wife gift," "to my daughter gift," whatever, and you'll see all kinds of products with a ton of different phrases. And then you can comb through the search results and see what's resonating with an audience and focus on those. Google Images, eBay, Facebook, especially if you know some of your competitors' Facebook pages where they run their ads from. You can go spy on their ads and then see which ads are working well, and you can do some phrase research that way. Spy tools are a good one. And then you can also look at other Shopify stores. Now, look, I don't have time to get into exactly how you do the phrase research for each of these right now, but I provided a ton of training around this over the last 4 or 5 years. So you can find it on YouTube. I will tell you, right inside of PodView, you go to the beginner walkthroughs. I've got some training there. At the end of this, I'll show you how to get to that. But yes, do your phrase research. Remember, 80% of your time should be spent crawling around on these sites trying to find winning phrases. All right? Trying to find winning phrases. Okay. Then what you want to do is, as you look at blankets and posters, and I'm sure you're going to see some jewelry in there and whatever else is there, you're going to see these whole phrases, right? And pretend that these green lines pretend this just represents a phrase, and each of these green lines represents a line on the phrase, right? We're doing this in the abstract right now because I need to illustrate a point. So you're going to have a complete, like a whole phrase that you're seeing on all these products. What you got to do is you got to break these phrases down into their phrase fragments. So a phrase fragment is one complete thought in the phrase. I'm going to further illustrate this in just a minute. So I'm just trying to explain the concept right now. So if you see this and you consider that this is one big phrase, well, you might say, well, these first 4 lines are a fragment, and then the next 2 are a fragment, and then the rest of it is another fragment. And total, out of this whole phrase, you actually have 3 fragments, and the fragments are what you end up putting inside of your phrase bank. All right, so let's do a real example because I want to make sure this hits. Here is a blanket that I found. It says, "To my wife, never forget that I love you. I wish I could turn back the clock so I would find you sooner and love you longer. If I could give you one thing in life, I would give you the ability to see yourself through my eyes. Only then would you realize how special you are to me. I loved you then. I love you still. Always have, always will." Now, I want you right now on your own in the chat, especially if you're new, I want you to write down a few phrase fragments that you think you see here. What do you think the phrase fragments are? Again, the fragments are complete thoughts. Complete thoughts. Let me know in the chat right now, what fragments do you see here, and start writing them down in the comments. And I'm going to actually show you which fragments I've identified as well. But I want you to go first. I will wait. think we broke the chat again, unfortunately. Here we go. Michelle says, never forget I love you. Jay Snyder says, I wish I could turn back the clock. Yeah, so never forget I love you is definitely a fragment. I wish I could turn back the clock is just that's just part of a fragment. That in and of itself is probably not a whole fragment. I loved you then. Yeah, so again, it's part of a fragment. It's not the whole one. I'm going to illustrate this in a minute. Like if this is hard for you, don't worry. This will make sense, I promise, in just a second. I love you then, I love you still. Okay, yeah. So Carol is identifying kind of the complete fragment there. Very good. Let's see. Yeah, I think some of you are just doing shorthand here because you want to write out the whole thing, but I think you're definitely getting this. I love you then, I love you still, always have, always will. Yes, from Kat, you're getting it. All right, let me show you the ones I identified here. We have never forget that I love you. That in and of itself stands alone. Then you have I wish I could turn back the clock so I could find you sooner and love you longer. That's a complete fragment. Excuse me. Then we have if I could give you one thing in life, I give you the ability to see yourself through my eyes. Only then would you realize how special you are to me. That's another fragment. Then we have I love you then, I love you still, always have, always will. That's another fragment. Right, so right here alone, you've got 4 different fragments, and you're going to write each of these down on their own, and then take that to the bank, baby. Right, take it to the bank. Those 4 fragments are what goes in your phrase bank. So you can see how by finding one product, you actually get 4 fragments. Okay, now something you need to remember is that the quality of your phrases that you create is going to equal the quality of your phrase research. This is why I'm telling you, spend most of your time on phrase research. It's hard to overstate how important the phrase is in this print-on-demand game. Like the phrase really is everything. It fuels everything else. It really does. So the quality of your phrases equals the quality of your phrase research. So there are 2 methods, there are actually a lot more, but there are at least 2 methods I'm going to teach you today to create your own phrases. So before I get into it, if you're brand new, I'm kind of calling you out here a little bit. I mean this in love. You are not a songwriter. You're not a poet. You're not an author. Please do not write your own original unique phrases. I promise you are not as good as you think you are. Every merchant I've ever seen that comes here with an ego, a little bit cocky, a little bit arrogant, that thinks they're going to write their own phrases is not here 6 months later because they found 0 success. Now, I'm not saying you can't get lucky. Right? I'm not saying nobody's ever done it before or anything like that. By and large, though, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody at ShineOn succeed writing their own stuff. I don't think I have. So you're not a songwriter, a poet, or an author. Please don't write your own unique original phrases. You need to develop an ear for what's working in your niche. And then later, if you still want to write your own phrases, you can. But develop an ear for what's working. Put some wins on the board, then attempt to write your own stuff if you really want, okay? So method number 1 now for how you can start to write your own phrases is something I call frankenphrasing, right? If you use your imagination, you can probably figure out what this is. So right here, I've got 4 complete phrases. Again, use your imagination. We got phrase 1, phrase 2, phrase 3, phrase 4. And what we're going to do is we're going to take fragments from each of the phrases, and we're going to stack them up into their own original unique phrase. Right? This is why what goes in your phrase bank are fragments, because with the fragments, you can reassemble them in different orders and make new phrases nobody's ever seen before. Right? So again, phrase 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you're taking fragments from each of the phrases and you're stacking them up to create something that's new, unique, original, and hasn't been seen before. It is that easy. If you do this, you can totally create unique and original phrases nobody's ever seen before. That easy. You're also going to find in your product research that a lot of people have caught on to this method, and you're going to see the phrase fragments repeat over and over again in totally different phrases, right? So this is one. Okay, so method number 2 is called phrase flipping. Phrase flipping. Phrase flipping. So you take one kind of original phrase or phrase fragment. And then what you do is you rewrite, you take one original phrase or phrase fragment, and then you need to spend a moment analyzing it critically and trying to identify like the hook, try to identify the punchline in the phrase, try to figure out the essence of why the phrase works. Like, why is the phrase resonating with an audience? You've got to spend a little time analyzing it critically. Then what you want to do is rewrite the phrase like differently, but you want to preserve the essence of the original. You want to preserve that thing that makes the original phrase work. You want to preserve that in the rewrite. And then what you do is you take your rewrite and then you rewrite it again and again and again and again. And before long, just like the telephone game, hopefully you have something that's different, unique, original, but still maintains the core essence of the first one, of the seed that you started with, if that makes sense. But here's a cool part, because this is really hard to do. The cool part is you don't have to write these phrases yourself anymore, because there's this little thing, you may have heard of it. It's called ChatGPT. ChatGPT, and by the way, everybody that's watching this, you can get access to this for free, can actually rewrite these phrases for you magically. And it's pretty damn good. So I'm going to give you an example in a moment of a rewrite that I did. So over here on the left, I've got the original phrase. Over here on the right, I've got my rewrite. Now, before I reveal it to you, here are some prompts you can use to do the same thing. So you can ask ChatGPT, hey, can you paraphrase this? Hey, can you make this rhyme? Hey, can you make this shorter? Hey, can you give me 10 different variations on this? And then make sure you always thank ChatGPT, because one day it'll be ruling the world, and you want to make sure you are one of the people that were kind to it when the robot apocalypse comes. So here is a phrase on the left. This is a phrase I found on a product. I'm going to read it out loud, and then I'm going to read the rewrite so you can see how good it is. So the phrase on the left: I've only been with you for just a little while. I can't speak the words I love you, so I say them with a smile. When you hold me close to you, your love is what I feel. Although I can't hold you back, my love for you is real. When you talk or sing to me, your love is what I hear. And when I coo, what I'm saying is, I love you, mommy dear. Pretty good, pretty emotional, pretty touching. You can see how a mom would be moved to tears, or a grandmother would be moved to tears and buy this for their daughter. Here is my rewrite. So again, I just went to ChatGPT, and I think for this prompt, I just said, hey, could you paraphrase this? Something like that. Now, without finagling this for too long and trying to really prompt engineer it and make it good, this is kind of what I got after the first 2 or 3 tries. I've not been here long, but I've got something to say. I can't say I love you out loud, so I smile in my own way. When you hug me tight, I feel your love warm and true. I just can't hug back yet, but I love you through and through. When you talk or sing, it's your love that I hear coming through. And when I make little coos, I'm saying, Mom, I love you too. Tell me that's not awesome. Tell me that is not awesome. That is the power of ChatGPT. Honestly, ChatGPT should be revolutionizing the print-on-demand game right now, and I still just don't feel like anybody is leaning into it heavily enough. Like, the phrases we're seeing pop are still basically the same phrases over the last 3 to 5 years. The whole game should be changing right now. This is a power tool at your fingertips, right? So you have 2 different versions to write phrases. You have franken-phrasing and you have phrase flipping. And if you're going to do phrase flipping, please, for the love of all that is good in the world, kittens and puppies and unicorns, please use ChatGPT to help you with your rewrites. Okay, you can even phrase flip a franken phrase, right? Now, if you're new, I know I just kind of blew your mind here, but here's what I mean. You can take something that you franken phrase together. So you can take a bunch of different fragments, stack them up, right? Then you can ask ChatGPT to phrase flip it, right? So you can take this brand new, unique, original thing, and then you can ask ChatGPT to make it rhyme, make it shorter, make it longer, paraphrase it, give me 10 variations, and then you pick the best one, make it more emotional. Make this really piss off Republicans. You can say whatever you want in the thing. ChatGPT will do it. And then you can basically phrase flip something that you franken phrased, right? Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. When we started in print on demand, people, we did not have these tools. most of the phrases, like even when you built a phrase bank 4 or 5 years ago, you were like, it was a small phrase bank because we just hadn't discovered a lot of phrases that move people. Where we are at today in print on demand is it's honestly it's mind blowing. It is mind blowing where we are at today, and the opportunity is just it's unreal. It's unreal. So again, I want to remind everybody the quality of your phrases will equal the quality of your phrase research. Now, are you with me? Is this making sense? Are you finding this helpful? Do you feel encouraged? Are you excited about selling into Q4? Let me know right now in the chat. Let me know in the chat right now if you're excited about where we are headed, if you found this helpful, if you're getting value out of this. Got a yes from Jesse, a yes from Natasha, yes from Arthur, Helen, Donald, Nelda. Sorry, it's moving so fast, I couldn't read it. Julian, Carol, Barbara. Yes. Yes, Jennifer says, let's go, let's grow. Dang, Skippy. All right, awesome. I love the energy. Love the energy. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to create dirt simple designs that sell. Dirt simple designs that sell. Okay, now I'm not going to do a screen share. I probably could. I may have had time for it. I didn't think I was going to have time for it when I started this, but I still think I'm going to get a ton of value. So first of all, just use Canva. I used to tell people you got Photoshop and Photopea and all these different things. Just freaking use Canva. Just use Canva. It's easy. It's basically free. The paid version is like $10 a month. Just please use Canva, especially if you're new. You don't need to mess with any other tool. Use Canva. By the way, the tools in and of themselves can be shiny objects, right? So even if you do my 1 by 1 by 1 earlier, one niche, one platform, one product category, you can still sink a freaking ridiculous amount of time jacking with AI tools and Photoshop tools and whatever the hell else. Just use Canva and tick this off your decision-making list, all right? Canva. Okay, keep it simple. Keep it super freaking simple on your design. So I want to draw everybody's attention to an advanced walkthrough that Mario Menduni created, because in this walkthrough, he said something that is just complete no-brainer. And when he showed it to me, it was like a year ago, I almost wanted to just hit myself in the forehead, like, why in the hell did I not think of that? You know, I've been in the ShineOn, the print on demand, the message card game as long as anybody. I should have freaking thought of this and I didn't, right? So kudos to where kudos are deserved. Mario kind of came up with this, and I want to bring everybody's attention to this advanced walkthrough where he goes to get to it inside of Pod U, go to advanced, and then you're going to want to look for Mario Menduni's mini course called Phase 1 and Phase 2 Testing, right? You're going to find that in the gallery there, and you're going to want to watch that. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a spoiler here. Mario said I could do it. In there, he teaches something that he calls M25 design testing, okay? Now, this methodology has a few different components to it. One component is about the design, and then the other components get into like the marketing and the ads and things like that you're going to run. I'm not going to talk about the marketing and the ad stuff. If you want that, you're going to have to come here to the advanced walkthroughs and find this mini course and take it, right, from Mario. But what I am going to share is Mario's thinking on design testing, because it's a no-brainer. It makes a ton of sense. I feel foolish for not having gotten there on my own, but it is literally the best thing I think you can be doing. So I'm teaching it here. And again, I had Mario's permission. Mario is in the chat, by the way. So hi, Mario. Okay, so here's basically what Mario suggests. And this screenshot here that you see on the right, this is actually from the mini course that Mario created. And you're going to see that down here at the bottom, you see how there's like this gray, like kind of gradient down here at the bottom. Ignore that. It's literally from the video when I screenshotted this. The message card Mario illustrates inside of his training is all white. It's an all white background. And here's basically what Mario says. And here is the secret sauce, in my opinion. He basically says, when you're testing, don't mess with basically any design elements. All you want is a white background with font. That's all you want. You can like do some fancy things with the font if you want. You need to keep it minimal, right? But like, just like in this example, you got a few different font sizes and you have at least three font choices, it looks like. But there are no design elements, no flowers, no silhouettes of people. There's no background colors to it, no textures, none of this other stuff. It's literally just testing the phrase on a white background, right? So it's an all text design. The font size is legible. It's like big enough so that it remains legible. And you follow the greeting card format. So up here at the top, it says who it's to. Then you have this phrase that's supposed to make you cry. And then you have this salutation at the end that says who it is from, right? That is the whole thing here. This is the secret sauce from Mario. It is keeping it super simple. If you're brand new, this is yet another rabbit hole you will find yourself lost in. Keep it simple. Like, do your phrase research and then test those phrases with text on a white background, right? Keep it super freaking simple. So again, you've got who it's to, you've got the emotional message right here, and you have who it's from. I'm going to go ahead and read this. I actually didn't read it before I put it on here, but I'm sure it comes from Mario, so I'm sure it adds value. This is an example of a good layout. The message would be heartfelt and makes them want to buy right away. Yeah, so you got to move people emotionally. That's what's going to encourage them to buy. Maybe they would cry and buy because your card is good. Make sure that they can read the font on the card. So you need to make sure the font is legible and large enough to be read from somebody browsing Facebook on the pot from their iPhone, right? You need to make sure that the font is big enough in the ad image that they can read it without having to zoom in or click it or anything else, right? This is an example card for a mom from a son. Mother's Day is coming up. That's when this was made. The design here was made. But remember not to say Mother's Day on the card because you can't sell it again in Q4. There is a takeaway here, though, that applies to Christmas. Don't say Christmas on the card either, because what if you have a to my wife message card that pops off, but you said Christmas on it and you made some money in Q4, but now you want to sell it for Valentine's Day, but it says Christmas on it. It doesn't work. Right? So don't reference the holidays or anything that's going to box you in to a specific holiday on the card itself. But again, I want to make sure I spend a little time here. This is so simple. It's so common sense. It makes so much sense. And Mario and his group, they're having a ton of success with this. Just test the messages like on a plain white background, right? If you're going to change anything, maybe pick out a fancy font, maybe change the font sizes to make sure the whole thing stays legible, but that's it. Don't spend half an hour in Canva browsing around on Canva Elements trying to find the perfect freaking, Victorian decal or whatever to put underneath where it says mom here. It makes no freaking sense to do any of that. All right, is everybody with me? Is this making sense? Let me know if this is making sense. And again, if you want to take Mario's mini course, go inside of PodU, go to Advanced, find the mini course called Phase 1 and Phase 2 Testing with Mario Minduni, right? That's where he really elaborates on the whole testing method, including how to run the Facebook ads. By the way, if you'd like to learn more from Mario, right inside of PodU in the Level Up section, you're going to be able to find Mario's thumbnail in there. Click that and you can connect through to Mario. Mario he's produced, as a coach, he has probably produced more successful students than anybody else that I've seen. When I say, should I qualify that? Like if we have somebody in our top 10 merchants, there's a good chance, maybe 20 or 30% of them are from Mario any given time. Don't quote me on that, right? And also, success isn't guaranteed. It takes hard work, takes skill development, takes a little bit of luck, all that stuff too. But Mario is a great coach. We can certainly vouch for Mario here. So anyway, if you want to take this advanced and then the Phase 1, Phase 2 testing with Mario, pretty sure you only get access to the advanced walkthroughs if you're an Empire Builders subscriber. So it's probably worth it just for that. Pop in for a month, take all the training, and then unsubscribe if you want. Okay, now it's where all the magic happens, right? You take your phrases and then you put them on ShineOn's product catalog, which is growing literally every single week. So is this making sense? Good. All right, there's one more thing here, and we're going to move towards kind of a close. There's one more thing that I do think is important to consider when it comes to design. Now, if you're new, I got to qualify this. If you're new, please you don't need to do this from day one, okay? You don't need to do this from day one. Somebody here says Ecom Family too. Yeah, I don't want to leave Ecom Family out. Reggie and his crew have also produced a number of successful students. They're a great community to be part of too. I always kind of encourage people, talk to a bunch of different coaches, figure out who you resonate with, and then go with them, right? But I would certainly go with somebody in our Level Up section in PodU. Those people are vetted. Those people are vetted for results. Again, either they themselves have produced good results or they produce students with good results. I can trust, like anybody in that section, we trust quite a bit with our merchants. So anyway, okay, so there's one more thing when it comes to this game I want you to consider. And remember, if you're new, I don't want to overcomplicate things, but this is important. So there's one missing piece. They say the difference between good and great is just 5%. You got to make your product stand out, okay? You need to zig when others zag. If you create products that look like that are carbon copies of other people's products, like you're probably not going to do very well, right? So here's some ways you can make your product stand out. You can take a phrase from X product and put it on Y product, right? So you can take a phrase from a necklace and put it on a blanket, or from a blanket and put it on canvas art, right? Hopefully that makes sense. You want to swim against the stream a little bit with your phrases. If people are using short phrases, try long phrases. If people are using the long phrases, try short phrases. If every phrase that's out there is sentimental, soppy, and whatever in the wife niche, maybe try one of the abrasive, shocking, supposed to be funny type of phrases. Zigging when others zag, like it really can help you in this print-on-demand space. People are looking for novelty. They're looking for new experiences, and you can give them that by just zigging when others zag, right? Try to sell products no one else is selling. Again, if you're new, like you need to stick to my one by one until you've hit at least $10,000 in revenue, right? But if you really want to take things to the next level, here's some things I've found that have worked for me and others, right? Now, my favorite way to do this, my favorite way to zig when others zag, and this is a growing trend in the print-on-demand space, is to add personalization. My favorite way to zig when others zag, my favorite way to make your product stand out is to add personalization. Now, a couple things. One of our top-selling jewelry pieces for like the last 18 months has had personalization on it, right? And it's continued to sell. It's kind of shocking to me. This thing keeps selling, but it keeps selling. Personalized products are difficult to copy, because usually, the barrier to entry is a little higher. It takes some setup, takes some advanced things kind of on the back end. Sometimes the customer service on personalized products can be a total pain in the you-know-what, right? So some people are just scared to mess with it. And again, if you're new, I probably wouldn't mess with personalization until you've hit $10,000 in revenue. For everybody else, though, personalization is a great way to make your product new and stand out. With the right tools, it's easy to do, and it works on Etsy too, which is pretty cool. So there are two personalization apps that we like to recommend. So we like Anywhere POD. Chris Meets runs Anywhere POD. Chris Meets is awesome. He's basically bootstrapped this thing. He's built it from the ground up. He's been an incredible partner to ShineOn. He provides amazing support. I like Anywhere POD because of its simplicity. It's so easy to kind of get in there and make some basic personalization. I also really love how Anywhere POD has a direct integration with Etsy, and it's cheap. It's like $10 a month. So Anywhere POD is a huge recommendation. Inside of PodU, if you go to the discount section, inside PodU, go to the discount section, you can actually find discounts for both Anywhere POD and Customly, right? Now, Customly is the next app that we like to recommend. Customly is a powerhouse when it comes to personalization. You can do a lot of really advanced stuff with Customly. You can do things with characters and basically anything else you want. The learning curve on Customly, though, is a little bit higher. I will just tell you that right away. Here is some example of like a really great use of personalization on a heart-shaped acrylic. So you can see you have these three like clip art style characters. By the way, you can buy clip art packs right off of Etsy if you want. So you could probably find this exact pack on Etsy. Creative Fabrica is another place to buy little clip art packs. And then you go into Anywhere POD or Customly, and you can set these things up. But here's a great example of personalization on some products. So this is heart-shaped acrylic. You can see they can personalize the hair. You can personalize the shirt color. You can personalize the pant color. You can personalize the skin color too. I didn't call that out. Then you can add names underneath individuals. And also it allows you to personalize the phrase, right? So this is creating an experience where the buyer can come to the product page and they can like make the product their own, right? Now I got to tell you, setting this one product up was probably a pain in the you know what, right? Like it probably wasn't easy. It probably took a while, right? But if you already know you're onto a good phrase and you have a decent design, adding a personalization element is a great way to level it up. Now, you don't have to get this complicated with your personalization. You can simply just add names if you want to. The product I referenced a minute ago that's been selling for like 18 months with personalization, it just has a name on it, right? It's that simple, right? So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to hit a grand slam with this. It can be subtle personalizations that really take the product to the next level. Good. All right, so here's some next steps, super easy for you. If you're not in PodU yet, you need to get into PodU and then take the beginner walkthroughs. If you got value out of this, if you felt like these were a good refresher on the fundamentals, if you feel like this is giving you some directions, going to help you with focus, whatever, I'd highly encourage you, come over here to PodU, go to beginner, and take these 3 beginner walkthroughs, right? This basically runs through the fundamentals that we just laid out. So in the ShineOn tour, I kind of guide you around ShineOn so you can kind of get the most out of your ShineOn experience. In the fundamentals of print on demand tour, I go over a lot of what I just kind of covered here. And then in creating your first 5 products, we actually get into some design stuff. And I show you how to create phrases and take those phrases and put them on products, etc., and publish those into your account. So I'd encourage you, go spend a few hours, take these. They're free, people. They're free. This kind of training didn't exist when I started. So take advantage of this, please. Joy asked, how much is PodU? PodU has different access levels. So there's a free tier. So there's stuff you can consume in here for free. And then if you want to sign up for one of our tiers, we have Starter, Side Hustle, and Empire Builder. Each of those come with different access levels in PodU, but also come with a different features unlocked inside of the ShineOn experience, and you get product discounts. So pretty cool. But that's kind of how that works.